The body is not the enemy of spiritual freedom. Often in spiritual circles, the body is treated like an obstacle, something to rise above, transcend, or escape a problem. But true freedom is not found by bypassing the body. It's found by entering it fully. The body is not a cage, it's a doorway, a living temple through which presence is felt and love is made real. Your awakening doesn't float above your skin. It breathes through your cells, pulses through your heart, and grounds through your feet. When we befriend the body, listen to its wisdom, welcome its wounds, feel its aliveness, we discover that it's not in the way of liberation, it is the way to liberation. I discovered this very strongly for myself after 10 years of being ill with serious autoimmune that I was pretty bad and felt like it was going to take me out in some way, if not kill me, then render me pretty useless for the rest of my life and be housebound or extremely limited. But not only that, and actually that's why I do like to talk about including the body, the relationship to the body in the deepest spirituality, because the thing that it brought me face to face with was not only meeting pain, but meeting the emotional hurt and fear that I carried, because actually I had to confront and meet the possibility of impermanence, the possibility of death, the possibility of decline, and just behind, that realization or meeting, which is in itself extremely profound and very opening and very frightening. Face to face with it. There's the thing about illness in many ways is that at a certain point, the invitation is that you can't actually deny it anymore. You can't push it away into the shadows. And I didn't suppress it through. I didn't try and fix it through medication. I didn't go down that route. I actually, went down the route of natural healing without knowing where on earth I was going or how on earth I was going to do it. It was like a long journey, but what I'm saying is behind that, that realization of impermanence and possibly death or whatever, was the secondary issues, which were that I screwed up my whole life, that I had actually failed to live, and I'd brought this on myself, and I'd made a terrible mess of things, and man, that was humbling. Man, that was humbling. It broke me open in so many ways, because if you have to face the fact that, at least on the level of emotion and belief, that you've brought this on yourself and screwed up in the biggest possible way, it brings you to potentially to your knees. But that bringing to the knees and that meeting the truth of it, of one's impermanence and the body, was such a great humbling and such a great opening to a deeper, to the embodiment of it. I didn't have to consciously choose to embody it, because it was just, screaming at me, and when the body demands attention in that way, man, you give it, I gave it anyway. I couldn't fight, fighting with what was going on just wasn't going to be the answer. The symptoms were so bad, and just the fear or the uncertainty or everything that was getting churned up. When you churn up the body, because you're stirring up all the inflammation or all of the stuff that's held onto, it can be absolutely intensely terrifying, and I know that, and I've really experienced that, very strongly. But so what I'm really saying is that you can't resist the body. You can try and resist the body, but actually, the deepest understanding is when we become more intimate with the body. The way through the relationship with the body is through intimacy, through being with it on the most profound level. And that means having to meet ourselves and all of our resistance and fears that we carry, because we're frightened of our impermanence, we're frightened of death, we're frightened of pain, and all of these things are very natural in many ways, but they keep us, in effect, disconnected from the body. And so the way through eventually is to soften into a greater love, to embrace the fact that we're impermanent, and that this vehicle is impermanent. I mean, it is a fact, right? It is impermanent. But to love that and embrace it without folding, without completely collapsing in resignation, is where the heart opens, as I keep saying. And it's where the heart opens and there's a softening. And then by and by, we enter the body, and then you sort of deeply enter the relationship with the body and discover that one is not the body. That spirit is in effect sort of manifesting as a body and seems to be carried around by a body, but who we are is consciousness, and what we are is awareness, what we are is unconditional love that transcends, that does transcend the body. But that spirit, is also imbued in the body. It's a very beautiful relationship of temporariness while we appear. But to not clutch at it, to not grab at it, and to not fight with it. And it is pretty difficult. It can be. It just requires a great softening and a willingness to face ourselves, and to not face ourselves emotionally with stories, but to face the intimacy of the truth of us. And that becomes a journey. That becomes a journey into the entire experience of what it means to exist. Is this existence. So we stop being fixated on the body itself, or mending it or repairing it. We do what we do. You allowing natural healing to kind of take place, and something really kind of starts to shift. And that's what we're talking about. The body is the way. Love the body. When it's inevitable, isn't it? It's inevitable. The body does its thing, but to become aware, more deeply aware of it, to become almost a lover of it without attachment. It's like the love we speak of here. Conditional love is not the answer when it comes to the body, as it's not the answer when it comes to the lover or the friend or your significant partner or anybody or anything, or loving the world. If it's conditional on how the world shows up, then it's going to cause suffering. And so it is with our relationship with the body. If you're only going to love yourself as the body when the body is performing well, or behaving itself, or is not showing any signs of anything, well, then you're going to get in trouble, because that's not how the body functions. As you know, one day you might wake up feeling okay. The next minute or the next moment or the next day, you wake up feeling cranky, or the body starts aching, or the body shows symptoms of something. The body expresses how we feel. And that's why it's incumbent upon us to listen to the body. So when the body manifests as a cold, or as an expression of inflammation or something, the body speaks to us through its symptoms. We think it's just a symptom that we have to deal with and get rid of. But if you ask homeopaths, or you ask, good body workers, or intuitives, or, people who work with the intelligence of the body, what they know is that when a symptom arises, it's a message. It's got a message for us as the individuation that we are. It's got a message. It's saying, you're doing too much, you're overworking, you're carrying too much emotion, you've overcooked yourself, you're not sleeping well, you haven't adjusted to the seasons, there's a burden being carried, or there's a suppression of anger, and it's manifesting through this cellular experience that we call the body. And that's good to know, because then it means that we're starting to fall into a new relationship with the body, which is a relationship of listening, not a relationship of just fixing, of suppressing. First, we must listen before we make any interpretations. And if doctors, the medical system was much better at that deeper intelligence of listening, and listening to a patient when they actually speak, not just, speaking about this, and this, well, this symptom hurts and that symptom hurts, but actually, we're listening with a deeper awareness of the holistic nature of the human experience, mind, body, emotion, spirit, then actually we'd really start to get somewhere, because we're energy beings, We're not just physical beings, we're energy beings. Emotion expresses itself through the body. Suppression expresses itself through the body. All these things express themselves through the body, as well as, of course, the chemical components of the crap that we eat, and the stuff that's in the soil, and all the stuff in the air and the water, and etc., 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 that we're subject to. But even on top of that, the more toxic emotions we carry around, the more we are not in alignment with our natural way of being in the world. It expresses itself often through the tightness into the body, or the restriction, or the inflammation, or the symptoms of the body. That's part of what the body does. It's not just a vehicle that carries around. It's a feedback system for who we are and what we think and how we move and how we relate and what we carry. It's a feedback system. We're caught in this feedback system, but we deny the feedback system in our stupidity. I don't mean personal stupidity, I just mean a sort of societal unawareness of the holistic nature of life. And so we miss the signs, we miss the signals, we miss the symptoms, we misread ourselves, and we're misread. And intelligence, once you start realizing that, then you start developing a different ear. And when you start developing a different ear to listen to the body, then you have much more accurate, aware information that you can start to apply to it, from love, from awareness, from intelligence, from naturalness. This is a development of the human experience. So we're not just kind of seeing something. How do we know what the body is supposed to be? We don't know. We assume that symptom shouldn't be coming up. But actually, in my experience, when I've worked with people, obviously I'm not a doctor, I'm just a guy, but I've worked with my own self, it's like when I've really looked at it And I first of all, it was like, well, why is that symptom coming up? That shouldn't be happening. That's not welcome. And then eventually I sort of have gotten into it and understood. And it's like, oh, I understand. I see exactly why that symptom would come. Even if it's unbidden by me, it's part of the natural movement of things that that symptom is going to arise in me. It's logic, natural logic. That's my phone going off, and that's a call for me to go. So I hope this has spoken to you. Thank you very much for watching.